Welcome to Yoga with Lynn and Leo. This is day 7 of our 19 days of yoga. Our starting point today is Adho Mukha Virasana, as you can see here in the video. Big toes together, buttocks extending towards the heels. We have two options of head support. Either rest the forehead to the end of a brick or use a bolster. If you're using the bolster, place the blanket on top of the bolster and rest the forehead. When you're in this restorative action, be sure that you're extending your buttocks and weighting them down either to the heels, or if the buttocks are not reaching the heels, then place a blanket between the buttock and the heel. Keep the arms straight and strong. Extend the side waist and become more aware of the internal action of the breath. Soft inhalation and soft exhalation. We're coming up from this pose into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Those of you who have been following this practice, then you will be familiar with this pose. There's a little difference today. There's two options of support for the head. Either use the brick or a slightly higher support, taking the head to your blanket. When you place the head in this way, it gives you a good opportunity to work the legs. It gives you a small fulcrum to extend and open the side waist. When you're in this pose, again, come back to your breath. Soft inhalation and exhalation. If you find it difficult to stay in this pose for long periods of time, then come back to the first pose, Adho Mukha Virasana. If you're maintaining your dog pose, then work on the framework. This involves being strong in the limbs. Press down firmly from the wrists to the palms. Become aware of the action from the armpit to the outer hip. See that the thoracic spine is moving deeply within. Keep the thighs moving away from the abdomen. Coming out of the pose, soften your knees and come back into Adho Mukha Virasana. Settle in this pose. Ground down with the back of the pelvis. Elongate through the side waist and extend into the arms. Press down with your palms to give you some traction, to extend a little further in the upper arms and the armpit chest. See that the breath becomes smooth and even. Concentrating on the breath in this simple pose encourages us to be more meditative, reflective, and observing. Observe the breath and any inflictions that may come into the mind. Just let them fade away. By taking ourselves inside, it gives us an opportunity to completely release and restore. On your next breath, become aware of your physical body to push with your hands and come up out of the pose. We're coming into our next pose, which is a twisted action. As you can see here in the video, Leo is using a bolster. Either use a bolster or a couple of blankets. Make sure the blankets are nice and smooth, and then sit in your Bharadvajasana. The Bharadvajasana foot action is when you take the top foot over the bottom instep. Use either support, either the bolster or the blankets, to come into the Bharadvajasana supported twist. If you have stiffness in the lower back or upper back, then keep the head facing towards the knee side. If you're able to revolve the spine, then slowly come into the twisted action. You can adjust the body and the twisting action by pressing into your palms, lifting the chest and the torso, and seeing if you can turn any amount. Release the body to the support. It takes a little while to completely release in this pose. Become aware of your breath, your inhalation and your exhalation. Let the spine and the spinal muscles completely release. Become aware of the spine itself and let the twist unfold gradually as the body starts to relax and release. Take yourself inside. Become aware of your inhalation and your exhalation. Be aware of the inhalation within the chest cavity and how the ribs expand, broaden and open. On the exhalation, see if you can relax and release the body a little further. If you are settled in this pose and you wish to stay for a little longer, then do so. To continue with the sequencing, we're coming to the other side. So coming up, readjusting your Bharadvajasana feet and legs, and come into your Bharadvajasana twist. Be more familiar with the action. The body will release a little deeper, a little quicker. Just let the whole body completely release. Become aware of your breath, and each inhalation, feel that sense of freedom, and on the exhalation, become aware of the body surrendering towards the support. Keep the breath smooth and even. Releasing the mind, any afflictions which may come to the front part of the mind, just dissolve. Release any lines across the forehead, any thoughts. Let it completely dissolve and release. Discover the quietness within the mind and the body. Find a new freedom, an openness, a space. Become aware of the breath and the lightness of the breath. Remove the hardness and become light and passive. Breathe through your nostrils and follow the breath as you acknowledge the extension and opening of the rib cage. Every exhalation, deepen the action with the bolster or the blankets. Just let the whole body become weighted. Any thoughts that come into the front of the mind completely dissolve. Soft inhalation and soft exhalation. Just become completely involved with surrendering and releasing the spine. Again, come back to your breath, soft inhalation and exhalation. If you're comfortable in this position, then you can stay. If you're following the sequence, then coming up and preparing for Supta Baddha. For this pose, you can use either support, the blankets or the bolster. Loop a belt and take it over the body. Place the belt through the legs and place it to the outer foot bones. Tighten the belt with giving yourself enough space so that you can extend the spine in a supine action. It may take you a little time to adjust the belt and to get the right distance. Be sure that when you're in this position, Baddha Konasana, that you're getting a feel for the groins and the downward action of the legs. If your thighs are tight, then take a couple of foam pads and place them underneath the thighs. This is a very important action so that when you're in the supine action, the concentration can be on releasing and relaxing rather than tight, unhappy groins. When you come back into your supine position, take a few moments to settle. Be sure that when you're preparing and scanning the body, that the arms are rolling from the inside to the outside. In this position or any supine action, with the arms rolling from the inside out and the palms facing up, this action will open the chest and direct the shoulder blades towards the back of the waist. Take a few moments to let the whole body soften and release. Start your relaxation from observing the whole of the facial features. Start from the hairline, completely releasing between the eyebrows, release the temples, release the back teeth, and let the area of the jaw where it's closest to the ear completely soften and let go. Release the throat. Be aware of the shoulders and let the outer shoulders completely release. Become aware of the broadness of the collarbones and the inhalation. Take the breath evenly through both nostrils. Become aware of the breadth and broadness of your breath. The dynamic action of this pose is very much felt within the lower area of the abdomen. The very nature of the action with the legs in Baddha Konasana opens the whole of the abdominal area. And again, if you find this quite challenging, do use support. Gradually, as time goes on, with regular practice, the thighs will start to become a little more mobile. Be aware of this softening in the abdomen and let the abdomen completely release. If you think about the abdomen as becoming a bowl, so that lower pelvic area and the area in between, the base of the bowl being the spine, and the soft tissue fibre lining the bowl, until you come to the skin surface. As you breathe into the base of the bowl, and gradually, over time, deepen the breath so that you start to line the inner surface of the bowl. Each inhalation lining a new surface, a slightly different area. If you want to continue with this action, then do so. We are continuing with the sequencing now. For some of you who'd like to follow the sequence, then coming up. Our next pose will be Supta Konasana. Some people struggle with this action. It comes from a Virasana action. You can sit in Virasana, then make space in the back of the knee by releasing the outer calf away from the back of the knee. Sit in your Virasana action and extend into a backward action. If you need to sit on something, then take some support, a foam pad, as you can see here in the video. It's important not to rush or push with this action. If you're still struggling, then take a look at our post directory for more instruction. If you're able to go back into Supta Virasana, then take a while to settle. Be sure there's length in the lower back by moving the tailbone towards the inner knees. Keep the shins grounded and the length in the thighs. Let the whole spine completely release. The releasing action may take a while. Let the abdomen become soft, the diaphragm extending away from the pelvis. The whole of the upper body completely surrendering towards the support. Concentrate on your breath. Be aware of the soft inhalation and exhalation. With both supine actions, Supta Baddha and Supta Virasana, these both come into a remedial practice and particularly good for not only the soft tissue fibre but also space in the organic body. Be patient with this pose. Become comfortable with the supports. If you need to go higher in a seated position, then build up the back support. Concentrate on the inhalation and the exhalation. Each exhalation, try to soften the soft tissue fibre. Let the whole body surrender towards the support. Release any tensions within the facial features and let the eyes withdraw. And again, now we're going to continue with the sequencing. So if you're happy in this pose and you want to stay a little longer, then do so. Our next pose is Dandasana. After having the legs in Virasana, it's important to straighten the legs, elongate the muscle fibre again. Take your hands beside the hips, use the fingertips to encourage a lift through the spine. We're coming into the Parsva Dandasana action. So turning towards your right, taking your left hand to your outer thigh, your right hand behind you. Keep the lift of the spine as you release. Come to the other side. Again, finding that extension in the back. Ground down with the legs. Extend into the heels. Keep the chest lifted. Continue to lengthen through the spine as you come out of the pose. We're coming for Savasana. Savasana is our relaxation. So you can come onto the floor, onto the bolster, or onto blankets. After practicing in a remedial way, it's nice to support the spine, either with a blanket or the bolster. Give yourself time with your Shavasana, remembering that restorative practice is about feeding your body and your mind. Try to keep the mind tame. Focus on your breath. Focus on your relaxation. Completely soften within the facial features and the throat. Take yourself to your breath. Take a few moments to acknowledge the breath. Become aware of the rib cage broadening and opening. Be aware of your lower spinal area. Be aware of your abdomen, the spine broad, the abdomen soft. Take your breath from the lower spinal region. As you breathe through your nasal passage, breathe along the spine, a natural breath. Come to where the breath will naturally pause, and then let the breath release. Slowly follow the breath along the spine. Create the depth of the breath through observation, following the breath on each inhalation, becoming aware of the length of the breath, how the breath starts to extend. Extend the breath along the spine without strain, without tension. Just let the breath find its own capacity. As you breathe in, let the breath extend along the spine towards the ribs. Just follow this pattern of breath and surrender the body. If you're comfortable in your Shavasana, then stay. We are coming to the end of our practice. If you are following our timings, then come into a seated position. Before engaging with the world, just sit for a few moments. Again, keeping your attention inside. Namaste.